the space. I want to welcome up Isaac Dietrich, who's the CEO of MassRoots, based out of Colorado. Was it Denver or Boulder? Denver, Colorado. And Isaac is at the helm of probably the world's largest, if not close, community of people who are deeply interested in cannabis for whatever reason. Is that good?
Exactly.
That's exactly
Perfect.
it. Right on. So MassRoots, welcome Isaac.
Okay. Sorry, just want to get this. Okay, good enough. Hello, everyone. My name is Isaac Dietrich, and like I was introduced, I'm the CEO of MassRoots. We're the world's largest social network for cannabis consumers. We recently crossed 625,000 users. And this is our new web interface that we just introduced and are in the process of rolling out additional features. So this is the Buds feed. This is just people that you follow, like friends on Facebook. We call them Buds, so you can bud someone. And it's very much right now a picture-based application, people uploading pictures of what they're smoking, pictures of them smoking with friends. But we're gradually starting to expand into more of the content side. And I'm sorry it's not that clear, but this is our blog, which we recently launched, and it's just covering legalization initiatives like how to roll a joint is actually a blog that we released the other week, and it's now the #1 result on Google. So no, that's BuzzFeed, but that's this right here is us, how to roll a joint, MassRoots. And we just go over like how to do various things related to cannabis. We are seeing tens of thousands of posts every single day. So pretty much any cannabis-related search term, strain, anything like that, we have the most amount of content online. This is our local feed right here. So this is everything that's going on within a 20-mile radius of wherever you're currently located. So all this is right here in San Francisco within, I think that's 15 minutes. So all this is pretty much happening right now here in San Francisco. And we also started allowing video upload. Then we also have our Discover page. So this is just allowing you to discover various things that are happening within the cannabis industry. This is hashtag Editor's Choice, and these are like just all the posts that are happening about Editor's Choice. You would be amazed at how many different people just love cannabis for a variety of different reasons. We actually started as a mobile-first application back in July of 2013. So this web interface is actually brand new. But in November of last year, we got a call from Apple that they didn't really want an app dedicated to people talking about smoking. So they kicked MassRoots out of the App Store and created a rule that all social cannabis applications were prohibited, which really only applied to us because we were the only ones. So we were completely blacklisted, and that could have been the death of our company because we weren't available to 40% of the US population who has iPhones, MacBooks, iPads. So rather than giving into that and letting it be the death of the company, we united the cannabis industry against this policy. Over 10,000 of our users wrote personal emails to Apple on why they love and use MassRoots. The National Cannabis Industry Association and ArcView Group, which are the two leading cannabis organizations on the national level, wrote a letter to Tim Cook arguing that Apple's policies were stifling innovation in the cannabis industry and holding back social progress. And within 2 weeks of us sending that letter, Apple let us back into the App Store with no conceptual changes. And we've been growing very rapidly ever since. Thank you. We were one of the first applications hosted on Parse back in, because we were trying to get a minimum viable product out the door. And as a result, we were kind of like Parse's Parse's like guinea pig for scaling. So when we crossed 450,000 users over the summer, pretty much everything started breaking again. So we are in the process of migrating everything to Amazon Web Services. It's taken us 3 months now, and we're completing the migration over Christmas. And that really is going to fix all the load times. If you are using the app right now, it kind of takes a little time to load. That's just due to the amount of volume happening on our app on a regular basis. So all those issues will be fixed, and then we're clear to start rolling out new features. The first of which is going to be direct messaging with weed emojis. So we looked at all the data on our app, and the flame, tree, and smoke emojis were used over 1 million times over the past few months. So we created our own set of emojis just dedicated to the cannabis industry. This is just a preview. And then we pushed this out to our user base, and it said you can get all 50 if you just provide the phone number, and we'll send you a download link. And over 50,000 people requested these emojis within the first, I think, like 48 hours. So that's obviously a feature that our community wants, and that's something that we're going to be rolling out very, very soon. So with that, I'd like to turn over the floor to questions.
Right on. Can I ask the first question?
Yep.
So you guys are funded, and you are actually a public company to a certain extent.
Yep.
Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, sure. So when we first that first summer, I went around to all the Silicon Valley VCs. This was 2013, and pitched them on this idea for a social network for cannabis consumers. And they all said, "This is great, but we can't invest in anything that's illegal under federal law." So I ended up maxing out $17,000 in credit cards that first summer to get it off the ground. And then once we had hit 100,000 users and were growing exponentially, we pitched them all again. This was early 2014, and they turned us all down again because it's illegal under federal law. So we were the first cannabis-related company to go public through an S-1 registration statement, doing things the right way with audited financials, full corporate history, and submitting it to the SEC for review. We were the very first cannabis company to get through the SEC review process, and we started trading in April under this ticker MSRT. Since we didn't have an investment bank to kind of guide us through the process, we went out to our user base. And in the first 2 weeks that our stock was trading, over 2,000 of our users invested over $1 million into MassRoots. And that's tremendous validation, because imagine if an early user in Facebook had been able to invest back in 2006 when they were raising, and they would have seen multi-1,000% returns, whereas these unaccredited investors, people without $1 million in the bank, if they invested in Facebook's IPO, they would be looking at a 3x return. So because companies are staying private longer, all of the real returns are being accrued by accredited investors, the already wealthy, rather than allowing the general public to invest. So essentially, MassRoots is raising money through crowdfunding in its truest form. Unlike Kickstarter, people who buy our stock actually have equity in the company. So that's a cool little thing that we're doing.
Right on.
You collect users' data and then do targeted advertising back at them?
Absolutely. That's the monetization model. So we started monetizing in mid-August. We've done over $150,000 in revenue since then. Our localized features will be rolling out during Q1, so dispensaries will be able to target an ad within a 20-mile radius of their dispensary based on users' posting patterns. So based on what users post, we know what type of consumption pattern they like smoke, joints, blunts, bongs, vaporizers, dabs. We know what strains they prefer: Blue Dream, Grizz Kush, etc. And all of this data is tremendously valuable to the 15,000 cannabis-related businesses in the country. This is Valley Rec. He actually does joint art. So this is like a TIE fighter, and like
A real
joints.
TIE fighter.
So you would be amazed at the creativity that the cannabis community has. Any other questions? Another cool thing that we're doing, next year, the 2016 election cycle, close to 40% of the US population is going to have some form of cannabis legalization on the ballot, because you have California, you have Arizona, you have Massachusetts, pretty much all of the Northeast. I think it's 8 states are having cannabis legalization on the ballot. And we're working on in-app voter registration and push notifications, letting our users know where and when to vote. Because all along we felt if we can get hundreds of thousands, millions of people engaging about cannabis in one social platform, that community could be used as a force to help these legalization initiatives pass. And if people view MassRoots as even a minor reason that cannabis is legal in their state, that's brand loyalty that no one else can replicate. Because it's we're there fighting for them, and our community has already changed cannabis policies at the largest corporation in the world, so there's no reason we can't be changing cannabis laws in various states. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
helping people.
Definitely. Our philosophy has been, Tender kind of started with the sororities and the fraternities before it expanded to the general population. Facebook started with the college students before it expanded into the general population. We started with the potheads, the people who smoke cannabis on a daily basis, who love posting about it. And then now we're in the process of expanding into the mainstream population. And a key way that we're doing that is talking about all the medicinal benefits that cannabis has, and it's going to be a whole section on our blog. And it is going to be the medical search terms related to cannabis is absolutely outrageous on Google in terms of, the 60 plus, the baby boomers looking for various ways to replace all these prescription drugs that are killing people and people are addicted to, and cannabis is a safe alternative to those that people can enjoy. So that's a huge part of our strategy going forward.
Do the dispensaries have to pay you in cash?
So a number of banks, community banks in Colorado, are accepting cannabis clients. So it's not that big of an issue. I would say probably 40% of dispensaries now have bank accounts, but there are certainly a large number of businesses that still do pay in cash, money order, things like that. Thank you.
Isaac, I've got actually a quick question, and it's a heavy one for the zero.
Sure.
But have you ever received a request from the federal government to hand over your membership list?
No, we have not received a single request from any law enforcement agency, local, state, or federal. We're very proactive in ensuring no underage kids are on our network, that illegal activity, if you're not in a legal state, you're not allowed to post about cannabis. So we're very, keeping other drugs off the network. All of these things, we're very proactive in keeping off the network. This is strictly a community about marijuana and the positive aspects with
But the big
cannabis.
the big what if is if you were to subpoena by any means by the federal government to hand over any user data, how do you handle something like that?
We let our community know what's happening and create an absolute war over that. I mean, people kind of view MassRoots as a hornet's nest now. Like all these tech companies, MailChimp banned our email account list, Instagram and Facebook banned cannabis-related accounts. So every time that someone tries to mess with the MassRoots community, it creates an absolute war. I don't want to say war, but we fight for our rights, and that's not something that we would ever turn over.
Excellent. All right. MassRoots, Isaac Dietrich, in from Colorado.
Thank you.